Tonight we have a couple of very interesting guests with us out there today. This is 2&A, Sam, Bonnie, and Roddy. How are we all doing, fellas?
What's up?
So, here we are. I mean, I know we're using a brand new streaming platform tonight called Opus. Shout out to my man Galen out there who, I don't know if he's the owner or who set it up, but he recommended this one, and we're really hoping we can get some very interesting comments and feedback on this just as we kind of move forward. So how's everyone been this week? How's your week been, guys?
Yeah, not bad.
Busy. My week's doing good. I'm
busy.
gonna replace one part of my room carpet with this flooring so that my chair can roll fast without it having problems.
All right, nice. So listen, guys, another big week in tech, and listen, I think we need to start with the obvious big fucking yellow elephant in the room. Let's talk about this ridiculous iPhone yellow edition or canary edition.
Okay,
can I start I need to start right off because I don't care if a company releases a new phone, and I don't think this has anything to do with the S23 Ultra because it's a totally different phone. But what I'm seeing on Twitter, and I kind of posted this, and I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody, but I see a bunch of people saying, it's these big time reviewers that have already had 6 iPhones and 4 Samsung devices. I'm like, hey, I went out and bought the brand new yellow iPhone 14. Who cares? It's a different color and it's not great looking. But they're making a big deal of like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I don't understand it. Maybe it's just because they want to be out there showing off what they got. I don't know. It's got to be for views.
They just probably wanted the views, I guess.
You know what? I don't know about you guys, but yellow yellow's a fucking ugly color. It's an ugly color for any kind of tech, except, and there is one exception, and I know what Sam's going to say. He's going to say the Lumia, and I have to agree with you, Sam, that the Lumia was the exception to the rule. But that fucking iPhone shade of yellow is fucking the worst.
Was there a 5C version of that, or a 4? What was the C version they had that was plastic? Did they have a yellow version of that?
I don't think they had yellow though.
5C.
They don't think they had
the
yellow.
5C yet.
Yeah.
How many yellow companies? How many phones besides Nokia that have canary yellow?
Yellow?
Banana yellow. I don't know. I mean,
but I'll tell you right now, man. My Lumia 1020 back in the day, that yellow, that Lumia
awesome.
polycarbonate yellow, dude. I
had that phone. I love that.
You can say whatever you want. Ugly color, fuck you. That's fine. It's my money. I'll yellow all day long. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it. What I do hate is why would you buy one if you already have an iPhone 14? Right, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But if you're, I will tell you right now, if I were buying a Lumia, I get it. I get it.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm into loud colors like that. That's why I liked the Lumia yellow, the Lumia. Like I had the AT&T 1520, the big bright Hulk green one.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
That was
but you expect that. You expected that from Nokia because that's what they were doing. iPhone's not supposed to. I feel like they're just doing this to. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
new color, more sales.
Well, and here's the thing, though. But it puts them in a trick bag. It's like everybody bitches about color options.
Yes.
So Apple gives you color options. Now it may not be the color option. I mean, because I've seen Samsung devices and other devices that had colors, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm really feeling that color, right? But it's like you can't win or you can't lose. It's one of those things where if you want colors, you're going to get red. Now the other red that I see that they're coming out with on the 15, that red. Like more of like a blood red or like almost a little bit. Yeah. That red is better than product red. I don't really like product red.
I agree.
But again, it's like it's colors, man. You're gonna get a lot of variations of that where people like urine just ain't feeling it and they think it's butt ugly. It looks like urine. And for me, it's not my favorite yellow. I don't dig canary yellow. I would more like want a more of a maize color yellow or even the Lumia yellow.
Maybe a chartreuse.
Sure. or yeah.
I just kind of feel like Apple.
Is that a color?
I feel like the yellow and the gold iPhone. I just feel like they're too similar. Like I know it's a different shade, it's a different color, and I'm not going to get into fucking color science, but that Tweety Bird yellow, I don't know. Big deal. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Again, not my favorite, but I'm not automatically going to hate on it because it's yellow. I think that yellow phones are pretty cool. I mean, I have a yellow case for my Huawei P30. It's a little rubber silicone case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's yellow. It's almost that same color. It's a little lighter yellow. I mean, a little darker yellow.
Yeah.
But it's pretty spot on. So I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to hate on it. I just don't understand why.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in the market for a phone right now and you didn't get a 14, it gives you another
extra color option.
Yep. Why not? Yeah. Is it a SKU that's going to move a lot? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But
now, is it only the 14, or is it the whole 14 series line that's going to get yellow?
14 and
just
14
the 14
plus.
and 14 plus. Yeah.
No one's buying.
I forgot the 14.
Anyways.
I forgot the 14 plus was even a thing until you guys mentioned it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I think
people, when they talk about the iPhone 14, I usually hear the 14, the 14 Pro, or Pro Max. I forget. It's like I forgot the 14 plus was a thing.
I kind of wish everyone forgot the 14 plus was a thing. Bring back the mini, man.
The mini,
Right.
I
Was there-
wanted to get the mini, but AT&T ran out of them. Let me just get the 12.
Totally on board with the form factor. Completely not on board with the battery. If you're going to rock a mini and you're going to have a battery that performs like that, you're going to need to have way faster charging than you have.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to get
What about you know how they said this iPhone SE4 was canceled and now it's coming back? What's your opinion on it?
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think I always said that the iPhone SE was a very interesting product for Apple, but I almost wish that they'd killed the SE and kept the Mini, and just had that as the small option.
I wish. Yeah, I think many people would agree because SE is just like, the Mini sounds cooler. In my opinion,
I think, you know what, and I said from the beginning when it comes to like Apple stuff, if they had an iPhone Mini Pro, like all of the features of a Pro in a Mini, that would kill. The only problem is the battery would be fucking horseshit. And then people would be complaining about that, right? I mean, I guess you got to have some kind of trade-off when it comes to like a
I had the
phone.
iPhone Mini, and the battery life was terrible. It was. I mean, I wouldn't say it's terrible. I mean, you can't fit. It's a small battery. You're not going to get, endurance out of it. But I was really disappointed at how bad the battery actually was in that. So the SE was the same way.
Yeah, especially with the people.
The 12 Mini.
Oh, the 12 Mini was terrible for battery.
I mean, especially how iPhone user to me, I think traditionally are on their phones more that I've seen. Like they're more into the social media apps and the video, and they're taking videos. And,
yes.
I mean, it's like, and if you have a Mini, you're just gonna. I mean, we've already had issues before with iPhones. That was always a funny, like, all this just shtick, right? That you have to sit at the airport tethered to the wall because you're right. So then you come out with a phone that basically's got a 2-hour screen on time, and you basically run a couple of videos and you burn it down to half, and then you're gonna have to, and you're charging it 7 watts or 10 watts or whatever it is. And you sit there for an hour and a half trying to get your charge up to 50%.
But you had MagSafe. You had MagSafe, and you could just put the little battery on there. It was fine.
Sure.
It's easy.
And then MagSafe apparently is going to cure cancer, right? World hunger.
You know what? I had the 13 Mini, and I put that battery pack on it, and it made the phone like 3 times thicker. It really did. It was worth it. It really was.
I hate MagSafe. It's just like, I swear to God,
the battery I didn't like.
Wow, at the foot of this mag, I'm like, Jesus, I know it's convenient. But holy cow, you guys act like it's like the greatest invention since.
I don't understand the MagSafe.
It's like a magnet.
That's all it is. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Cool. It's nice, but it's still wireless charging, right? It's just going to be slower than any kind of kind of like wire charging. It just is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now, quick question. So, just getting back to the color of the iPhone, there, what would be the color you would like a company to release that hasn't been released or has been released in the past?
I'm not into colors. I want material. I don't care about color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me ceramic. Give me ceramic. Give me metal. Give me polycarbonate. Give me glass. Right?
Like the Pixel 5.
Give
me a different kind of.
I'm telling you, man. Give me other materials other than. It's like if you're gonna, I would, and then I tell people they do not believe me until they get it in their hands. I say, do yourself a favor, go get you a Lumia polycarbonate 1520, 1020, 920, whatever. Yeah. I'm telling you, cases, forget it. I took my Lumia 1020, I drop it down a flight of stairs, and it hit the floor, and it dented the staircase. Right? Yeah. It was indestructible. And he had the colors too. So you can get the colors and the material. I'm more of a material guy. And please, if you get a ceramic device, shit. you better hold on to yourself, because I mean, I had one ceramic device in my life, and I was like, this is the best feeling device ever. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is it more expensive?
I think.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're already
of course
rocking
it
an
is,
iPhone processor. You're already in 1200, 13. Why not pay an extra
Right.
100 and get a ceramic device?
Right.
iPhone Ultra coming in.
I bet
Yeah.
they would. I would have a feeling that if Apple did make a phone with that material, they would be flying to the store right now.
Yeah, they'd go right off the shelf. Yeah, he's right. I'm telling you, if they release an Apple iPhone 15 Ultra in that titanium color, but a black version of it,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm in. I'll fucking take my money.
Same.
Like, yeah.
It's like
and if they have
like
a matching watch,
I mean, I like
Like
how
the-
Vivo and Oppo are kind of introducing those more textured backgrounds. I don't care about the leather. I think leather can wear, and if it's part of your phone, I don't want it to wear like that. But some of these textured, it's hard to explain.
cases and
a lot of the new Oppos and Vivos and those kind of are coming out. Instead of just being glass, that's fingerprint magnet. It's more of a texture, so you can grip the phone better.
Was it the Zen phone? What was it? The small Zen phone that just came out that had that kind of like
Zenfone 9?
The 9.
It had, it had a
rubber.
rubberized. It felt like a rubberized back kind of.
Yeah.
I had a Mi 11 with the vegan leather back, and it was pretty slick.
It looks good for sure.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like the light blue. Yeah, it was great, man. I love that device. I wish this is the one I really wish I would have kept over the last couple of years.
Are we talking about like leather back on a phone? Because if we're gonna talk about that, my dad's Note 4 had that kind of fake leather on the phone. It was
classic.
It was the feeling
plastic,
was
wasn't
so
it?
great. Yeah, it was plastic, but it had that kind of that material.
You know.
Like when you touch it, it felt like it was like leather, but it's not leather.
Or I'm not even opposed to like a wood back. Like, like an actual wood grain back. I mean, just something to kind of keep it real. Have it's just, have a bamboo back or something like that with a different, something like that. Especially since you
Was
can't.
it Motorola?
Yeah.
I
the
think
Moto Maker,
the
man.
snap-on.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Moto Maker, bring that back. Hashtag
What was the camera? Was that Hasselblad? Was that was it Hasselblad with the camera?
I think it might have been the attachment.
Yeah.
That thing was.
Yeah.
I love that thing, but it was terrible.
JBL speaker on the Moto Mod.
Yes.
Dude,
Yes.
What about the
all
printer?
that back.
They had the printer and the
I had
projector.
all that.
The projector
I had
was
the
awesome.
bag.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I had all of it. I love that phone. I
We're
love
gonna
that
talk
phone.
about a projector on the phone. I remember when Samsung kind of had a projector on
they
their
did.
phone built
They
into the
did.
phone.
Just Moto Maker, going to their website and being able to completely customize your phone and actually add your name to the back and and pay an extra. Dude, it was so much fun. You can just come up with crazy color combinations, and it really made the phone
anything you wanted.
really unique. Yeah, it was so great.
And
It
see,
was.
I agree.
maybe that's the play that Apple needs to go for. And I know that brings up production costs, and I understand that, but if you really want Apple to be this kind of, and it already is this kind of lifestyle brand, the brand that people gravitate towards, why not give them the option to customize an iPhone look? Like that would kill it. It would be a hot summer.
Yeah,
like
the problem with that, but the Motorola whole problem was every year they wanted to be able to keep the same back, and it kind of limits the amount they can change. So they kind of boxed themselves in for a couple of years, which I didn't really care. It's the inside that counts, your processors, your memory. But I think Motorola was on a thing. But you got to remember, if they're not making money, they're going to axe the project, and that's exactly what they did. It's a business at the end of the day. So
they tried.
I think they sold units. I just think they're a low end. I mean, Motorola's
it wasn't as
budget phones. So I mean, I don't think and the problem is with the case market and the aftermarket and skin market. I don't really think for Apple users, I don't think having a customizable portal where you could go in there and make your iPhone unique. I don't think it's going to drive any more engagement. Maybe it would.
Did Google do that with the Street View? Didn't they do a Street View case where you could put your address in or something a couple of years back?
Oh, and get like a map?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for the first or second Pixel, I think they had something like that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. What Apple needs to do is, it's like Bull Durham, right? What did they say in Bull Durham? Don't fuck with a winning streak.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Don't fix it. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Come out with something when it's ready to go, where after everybody else is running through its paces, when you're ready for a foldable, when you're ready for this, make sure it totally works, because your market and your customers aren't clamoring for that. It's the Android people that remember the old Moto makers, the LG friends, the Moto mods. It's people like us that clamor for the return of that. Apple users
when
aren't
phones
really
were fun, right?
I can't admit, I've never talked to an iPhone user. God, I wish I could make my own colors and my own backgrounds and flowers. It'd be great. Nobody ever says that, right? They just buy
It was funny.
Yeah.
Right,
I walked in my office
right,
Monday morning. I walked in my office and said, "Hey guys, I sold my iPhone 14 Pro," and I'm not kidding. Everyone in the office turned their head and like, "Why the hell would you do that? Why would you do that?" I'm like, "I didn't use it. It sat on desk. I'm not saying it was a bad phone. I just didn't use it. That's stupid.
And you're
What
in
do you do?"
jail.
So now I'm in jail. See, but no. So I got the S23 Ultra, and I don't need an iPhone. I'm not saying this is the reason why, because I got a Pixel too, but I just didn't use the iPhone. I'm not in the ecosystem. I don't have the watch. I don't have the tablet.
Yeah.
I use Windows and Android, so I don't really have to have it. Most people I talk to, don't have iPhone, but everyone I work with does. And even our work phones are iPhones.
Yeah.
So I just think it's funny that people are like, "What? You sold your? How do you
okay,
live?"
but that's what you have a case market for. You can change your cases every once in a while. It's
Yeah.
a lot more
Right,
cost effective to switch it out and change the color of the material and look and make them customized. And you can put little flashy shit on it and little floaties and gel cases. I mean, it's a lot easier to spend $25 on a designer case than it is to design your iPhone. So I just don't think Apple wants to do that. I just don't think there's a market for it. For their
Speaking of Motorola, have you seen that concept where the screen would roll out?
The Rizzer?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, the Riser? Yeah, I'll get one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. All of it.
there was an article that came out this
No
week.
hesitation.
I forget which publication it was, but an article came out and said, like, or it might have been actually Marquez. He had a video on his channel there talking about how we don't need a phone like that, essentially. But I don't know. I think it's good for these companies to push the envelope, right? And if you think back to the early days of smartphones when you had like the Lumias and the Motorola's who were experimenting with these designs and these backings and these accessories, those days seem to have just fucking disappeared. Like now we've just got glass and metal, right? Like there's no experimentation. And I mean, companies are trying. We've got the foldable market, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know, like I just feel like a traditional phone where a company comes out and says, you know what, we're going to fucking do things differently. Like if you think about the, what was that phone?
What about the OnePlus 11 concept with the water? I think it was like water.
Who gives a shit? They're not going to come out with it. So who cares?
See,
No, exactly.
the thing is, it was like it changed the degrees like by a tenth. It wasn't even worth it. I mean, it's a proof of concept is all it is.
And I saw somebody in the comments that posted something about the McLaren concept with the the glass. And and stuff. Again, if it's coming from any other company but OnePlus, maybe. But OnePlus is like your schizophrenic cousin that sleeps on your couch with 5 days growth, right?
Well, like what's the other company?
Who's going to show up now, man? It's
but
like
who's the other company? Is it IQ that does like BMW? Okay, that's great for the Western market, but we're not going to get that. So it's just like one concept. Again,
it's a concept phone. It's cool, but I would rather have. Instead of having like I like having display concepts as opposed to hardware.
Yes.
Concepts.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's cool. It's got water, and if you want to have a cool, then it's rock on. But everybody in this chat knows, everybody watching this knows that they're not going to bring that phone to market. And if they do, you think they're going to come up with a 2 or a 3 or a 2T? Fuck no. Yeah. They'll do it for a year and go, okay, let's make a completely different device that doesn't look anything like the other devices.
Well, they'll take wireless charging in and out a few times too. Don't forget about that. I mean,
OnePlus has such an identity problem. You don't even know what phone they're coming out with every year.
I know.
It's infuriating. It's for a company that should have their shit together after all this time.
So let me ask you this, just out of curiosity. So a lot of people have been talking about online about Apple kind of lost a bit of the plot. Like, lost the maybe the pulse a little bit over the last, year and a year and a half. Just kind of subpar releases, kind of thinking one thing's going to fly and it's not. Which company's more lost? OnePlus or Apple when it comes to their identity as a smartphone brand?
iPhone is not losing anything. You saw that stat on Twitter. I think Roddy put it out there. They're in top 8 phones or iPhones. It doesn't matter what they make. They could throw shit against the wall and put an Apple symbol on it. People are going to buy it. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about it. Their marketing is really good. But they may have lost their way in our eyes, but the consumers are still buying it left and right. Yeah. OnePlus can't even hold a candle to what iPhone or Apple are doing right now. I have the iPhone 11. It's a great device, but it's no Apple. It really isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of Apple, I don't know if you guys...
iPhone 11. You meant the OnePlus 11?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's an iPhone 11.
No, I was just making sure. I mean, maybe.
The OnePlus 11. I don't have the iPhone 11.
Oh yeah. You know what? I mean, it looks like a great device, but it's like again, if it's not in a carrier store in the United States, it's not going to sell. And and again, I've told people before, and I'm going to stand by it. Apple doesn't have to run an ad for the next ever.
Nope.
And everybody knows that come August to October that it's the new iPhone season. They're going to come and they're not going to do anything drastic. Now, I'm curious to see this capacitive button thing because I think it's going to. If anybody's going to pull it off, it's Apple. But I think people are going to be as a user of a U12. I'm telling you, capacitive buttons can be a real challenge in a hardware.
Yes, I agree.
And I'm curious what they're going to pull, how they're going to pull that off, because I think a lot of people at first are really going to balk on it. Again, the eSIM is a different thing because once you set your eSIM, you're not changing your phone. Most iPhone users aren't switching every 15 minutes.
I actually think the bigger issue this year is going to be the USB-C situation. So an article came out this week where one of the well-known Apple leakers, named X, basically said that it appears as though there'll be software limitations on charging speed for non-certified USB-C charging cables for the Apple iPhone 15. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a fucking really bad idea. I think you open that shit up to everybody, let all these companies like Anchor and all these guys, profit off of the fast charging that's now on an iPhone. But I don't know.
You're missing the point.
Yeah.
The good thing they could do is right now, what they're doing right now, they're gonna release their new, what is it, MiFi, whatever they want to call it, USB Type-C, whatever they're gonna call it.
Yeah.
And then, when the iPhone 16 comes out, they're gonna say, look, guys, we listen to you. We're gonna open this up to these brands, and they're gonna reinvent the wheel. Which, to me, again, I'm making jokes about it, but that's their marketing, and it's gonna be the greatest thing. And they're gonna show those graphs where their USB-C is 300 times faster than this brand.
USB-C,
2013 or something. It's just that's how it is. But they'll sell.
Listen,
is it a mistake?
When they can beat OnePlus at their charging speeds, then we'll fucking talk. But until then, Apple
Samsung can't even do that.
No, exactly, right? Exactly,
right.
I mean, what's that? The Realme, the 300 watt fucking charging? Yeah.
Like, a full charge in like 9 minutes.
Yes, yeah. But Apple won't, and that's going to be a big marketing thing for this year's iPhone. We have USB-C now; it's more compatible, more accessories, etc. But you're right. I mean, a software limitation on charging speed, I think that's a dick move from Apple. Give the consumers the option to kind of choose a cable that's affordable. But again, I understand why not. It's money, right? You can charge people more to buy the official certified MFI, whatever, USB-C cable for Apple. But just getting back to what you said, Sam, about the capacitive buttons, I think somewhere along the line, I think the end product for Apple was always a buttonless phone. Buttonless, portless phone. I mean, if you think about it, they don't even really need to do USB-C. They could just go all in on MagSafe and say, fuck you. We don't need you to follow your rules. Let's put a...
But isn't MagSafe a universal standard? Isn't that a universal standard? That's why they have it like this MagSafe 2.0. It's not an Apple thing, is it? I thought MagSafe was like an open standard.
Apple patent. I think that's a patent that they have. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but I mean...
Well, they may have the name MagSafe patent, but I don't think the technology is patented. I mean, anybody can make a magnetic wireless charger and call it MagSafe or kind of safe or sort of safe. But I don't.
So I can go on Shark Tank and say I got a utility. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I just, and I tell Apple, I guess it can't be both, right? I always hear from Apple people, well, Apple won't release it until it's a tried and true, tested technology. Okay, well, explain capacitive buttons to me. Because it's not. It's capacitive buttons was used on 2 devices. One of them was the U11, which 5 people bought, and everybody hated. Who did?
Well, and USB Type-C is definitely not quite there yet. We're still working out the rough edges. USB's got a long way to go.
But I'm just saying, it's just like it's this capacitive button thing. It's like let them make a portless phone where it's only MagSafe and it has no ports and everything else. But my question is, what does it gain you?
My thing is this, though. My thing is this about the capacitive buttons, because I agree with you 100%. I'm super skeptical of like how it's going to work, and I get it if you can, slide your thumb up and down, turn it up and down, or whatever. But the way I see it, and USB-C to their credit, it's kind of the same thing. It reminds me of like when they had a physical fingerprint reader and then they switched over to Face ID. And now everyone praises how good Face ID is. No one's praising, physical fingerprint readers. But when Apple had it, it was, that was the best thing. That was the best thing. And then when they switched, so many people got mad because they just wanted to, scan their finger and unlock the phone. Well, now nobody wants to do that anymore. Everybody wants you to have some kind of face unlock. I mean, look at Pixel when it didn't have it versus when it got it. I mean, so that's just what they do. It's all in what they do. They're just going to run the marketing, and I don't understand the whole capacitive buttons thing, like why they're doing it. But maybe Darren's right. Maybe they're just trying to go for a full buttonless, fully enclosed, fully encased phone where it is just MagSafe and it is just capacitive buttons, and I don't get why they would do that, but
if they can get the haptic
feedback that way,
it's been a problem. If they can get the I think the second or third generation of the not Face ID but the Touch ID was capacitive. You clicked on it and actually had a physical click. It wasn't actually a button. If they can figure that out,
on the iPhone
more
7.
Right, but that's more powerful. SE's got it too, but I think that's where they may have, like Sam said, they may be able to do better, but capacitive buttons are a big hit or miss.
Yeah, that's a gamble, man. A gamble.
You know what though? If they can nail it, we're all be playing catch up again. You know how that works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's again. I don't understand I don't understand the gain on a portless device. I really don't understand the gain for that. And remember, iPhone has been marketed for everybody, right? And my parents, who are in their 70s, have iPhones and iPads, and they all have buttons on them.
Yep.
They don't have the newer iPhones. They've got older iPhones, and they wouldn't want Face ID. And I guarantee I can hear my father right now go, if you give me a phone that got a lock of my fucking face, I won't even turn it on.
Well, didn't Apple come out and say, "Hey, buy your mom a phone if you want iMessage"?
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
that's
what I'm
saying. It's like,
right.
Well, the problem with Apple has always been it's always this mixed messaging. They know that their target that drives the clicks and drives the buzz is the 18 to 35 market. However, everybody who owns their phones, it's all hand-me-downs. It's the same people who own Macs.
Yeah.
I talk to people constantly like, hey, you have a Mac? Oh, this is my son's Macable thing. I had a Windows computer. He told me I needed to use these Macable things because he gave me his old Mac because he bought a brand new one. So I don't know what the hell to do. And he had to come over and show me how to use it. Yeah, I mean, that's what they are. I mean, most of the people who are in their 50s plus who are using Apple devices, most of those people are hand-me-down people.
Yeah.
Because iPhone wasn't around 30 fucking years ago. So they weren't using it in their 20s. So let's cut the shit here. It's like, you know what I mean? It's their kids and their grandchildren all have these iPhones. And I'm telling you, my father and my mother only use iPhones because of iMessage and because they can share messages and AirDrop and all that other bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
So I have a coworker who had a Pixel 3, I think, and he goes, look, it died. And so he went and got an iPhone 12 or 13 mini. And he goes, my whole family uses Android, and my biggest concern is I can't FaceTime them. I said, you're getting this. This guy's like 75 years old. I said, that's the problem. You can download Google Duo or Meet. He goes, oh, yeah. So he downloads Google Meet, and he's like, oh, wait, I forgot my Google password. So, when you're on Google, you sign into your phone, you download these apps, it works. You get all the Apple, you log in, and then you have to know your Google password because it's not saved like it is. So he said it sounds like a great solution, but he can't remember it. So that's the other issue.
Yeah. And like I said, my parents were the kind of people that only updated their phone because two of their apps that they used wouldn't work on they were running iOS like 8.1. It's like, well, they don't, they're older. They don't think about that. They're just like, I want to use my phone. I don't want to get into all this shit and iPhones and apps and this crap. So I went on Swap. I bought them old replacement phones. They were like 8. It was the iPhone 8, right? That's what they use. That's what I use for work, right? It has a physical button or cool. So you know what? It's because they have such a broad market segment.
Yep.
You're not going to hit all the targets, right? You can't, no matter what you do, you're going to alienate some people, whatever. Yeah. But people that I know who are in their 60s and 70s who have iPhones are usually either because they bought it because their kids told them to, or they're literally hand-me-downs because their kids are all using Apple stuff and they want their parents to use something that's compatible, that they don't have to do all this shit, this rigmarole with it. They can just work on it like this, which is fine.
I think they should call it the... sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
Geez. No, I was just going to say, to that point, I got my dad an S22 Ultra last year for Christmas. and because he was kind of tired of his iPhone, and he's one of those people. He's not a techie person. He doesn't have the latest and greatest. He had an iPhone 8, and there was nothing wrong with it. He used it; it was fine. But he likes that S22 Ultra so much more. Like my dad's never FaceTimed me, but we both have the Google messages. And at the top, it's got the little camera. You just hit it, and it'll FaceTime me.
Yeah.
And there's with an iPhone, he'd have to go in and find FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So so actually, he's told me he likes S22 Ultra more than the iPhone because he feels like it's easier to use. And typically, that's not what you hear, especially somebody that's not a tech person.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost
strange.
wondering. I'm almost wondering if, used to I'd tell people if you want the simple phone, you just get an iPhone, right? Because it never changes. But I almost wonder, if like Google and Samsung, mostly Google, is if they're not actually becoming the more phone that you would recommend to older people that don't want Face ID or Face Unlock or buttonless phones and things like that, which. I almost wonder if those phones aren't becoming simpler to use now, and that's just kind of the way to go for a lot of people.
They're doing what Apple did. Samsung is doing iterative updates. They're not doing this drastic thing like that. Android for a long time. Every time LG, Sony, Samsung would release a phone, they'd throw everything in their mom at it and see against the wall and see what sticks. Now they're kind of starting to tail it back a little bit, kind of like Microsoft, or not Microsoft. I'm sorry, like iPhone. Samsung's doing it. Google Pixel. I mean, they're adding features, doing feature drops. That's the play, I think. You keep the software pretty simple, and you introduce these really cool things like, we want to say exclusive Pixel things, but they're not really exclusive anymore. But what I'm saying. Like Apple doesn't do that. They do bug updates like most companies do. They're not doing those feature drops. So I think that's something they should probably do.
And Android does something that Apple doesn't do. Android devices have all phones at every price point and have totally different hardware configurations. You want a foldable? We got you. You want a flippable? We got you. You want a riser? We'll have that too. Oh, do you want to use a different market? You want to buy a cheap phone for $100? Get an Alcatel. You want to buy a $1,800 device? Get a Duo or a Flip 4 or Fold 4 or whatever. And then you don't like Samsung? Buy a Google. If you don't like Google, buy a Motorola. If you don't like Motorola, buy this. And it's like cheaper and it does this and it does. You have so many more options than what Apple gives you. For people, it's like you have more flexibility. Say, what do you want to do? Now, if you just want to basically hand down a device to somebody and say, here's the device you're going to use, Dad. Boom. Well, then Dad's going to use your device. He's got to fit in that box that you put him in. Instead of Roddy's dad, where you give him a Z22 and go, there are other ways to do it. And actually, as far as I can tell, that the software and the UI experience is actually more streamlined and more functional for Roddy's dad than an iPhone would be. And I'm curious how many more people exposed to that, would have a chance. And I'm saying you should have exposure. And then if they still go to an iPhone, fine, whatever, man. Fly a fucking spaceship to the moon. I don't give a shit what you do, whatever works for you. But
that's what I'm saying. iPhone kind of says, here's what we're giving you. You have a choice of different sizes. You have the same, everything's the same. With Android, you have options. So like you said, if you want the Duo with 2 screens that fold, if you want a folding phone, if you want a phone with a projector on it, if you want a phone
choice,
you got choice, and that's what I just posted in there. Says Android used to say, "Be together, not the same." Right. We can all do the same stuff,
right? So I don't care about being cool. Like this is the cool phone everybody uses. I don't give a flying fuck what kind of cool. I'm
you're
50
cool.
years old. I'm not cool. It's okay. I don't care. So right, I have that.
You're cool, Sam. You're cool in Apple, buddy.
I have my issues, right? But I'm just saying. It's just, again, it's I think we have to kind of shatter these preconceived notions that we have about. Apple is always easier. It's always more convenient for everybody, no matter what. And if you just don't see it, then you're just missing the boat. Yeah, right. I think that conversation is more nuanced, I believe.
I'm sure.
I was going to say, just to tag in with the Google stuff, I think the Google's kind of marketing and pushing that kind of like everyman phone now. And that was what Apple used to do, right? That used to be like buy your parents.
You said that wrong. It's the every person phone.
Every person's phone.
Sam's like, God damn it.
Politically correct there. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
I can't PC. You gotta say PC.
No, you don't.
Sorry.
I know.
But I almost feel like now, like Sam said, like, or I think it might be Tuna there. You could give a Pixel like one of the Pixel 6a, for example. I feel like you could give that to a grandparent and say,
"Oh yeah,
you know what?
Yeah.
This can work. Like, it's pretty functional and it's pretty basic enough that they can navigate through it now." It used to be a mess. If you think about the early days of like One UI and all that, it just used to be chaos. But now I think Google's strategy of making the every person phone and saying, hey, this is something that fits into your life and doesn't rule your life. I think that's the play. And I think Google has gonna pick up more and more sales with that pitch. Right? It's the pitch that I think that Google has latched onto, right?
Like the 6A?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cheap phone. It's plastic, and you're not going to shatter glass if you drop it. I mean, there's a lot of things to benefit from that. Oh, we also have wireless charging. What 75-year-old person really gives a crap about wireless charging?
Right,
exactly. Knows what it is.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying. I could be wrong, but
and then what they do care about is if you tell them you can buy it brand new and it's $350, they're like, whoa.
Exactly.
I thought these other phones.
Is there anybody in here that's 75? Anybody here 75? Could we test?
Oh, no, I'm getting
Darren?
close.
No.
Close.
No, I feel 75 today, but yeah.
My body feels like.
Sam, you're not close.
I'm 48. I'm okay.
50. Hey, 48 is the new 20. 48 is the new 20.
No,
it's not. No, it's not.
Said by a younger guy. Right? Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah, just look at your knee, right?
Well,
sure. Exactly.
Speaking of old people, I don't know if you guys just saying on the topic of
nice
Apple.
Nice segue. Jesus.
Apple's just released, or Apple's just about to release
classical.
The classical music channel / feature of Apple Music. And I actually think, out of all the things that Apple's done, I actually think that that's a very clever move by Apple to have a exclusive part of their streaming high quality audio service that catalogs and caters for people that are interested in that genre of music. And this as a subscription service, for someone, I remember my father was really big into classical music. He loved classical music, but I remember his room where he used to listen to music, it was just records and CDs and fucking chaos. But imagine the ability to listen to high quality versions of your favorite classical music. I don't know. I think that's an interesting play by Apple. I think that's a clever play by Apple.
I thought you were going to, when you said old people, I thought you were going to talk about a pacemaker. I don't know why I was thinking it was going there. Like, Apple's got their own pacemaker.
What would that be called?
iPace.
What would the Apple pacemaker be called? iPace?
iPace. Yeah.
iHeart. It'd be iHeart. Can't do iHeart.
iPulse.
iPulse.
iPulse. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Hashtag.
I like that.
Don't steal it, Apple. Cupertino, fuck you. That's mine. I belong. I know. I agree with Darren. I think it's a good idea. So it's a classical music channel. I thought it was like the UI was classic.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Click wheel.
Yeah.
Interface.
So they say here to quote their marketing, the catalog includes over 5 million tracks spanning new releases to celebrated masterpieces. You'll be able to stream up to 192 hertz or 24-bit high-resolution lossless audio quality.
So back up.
Thousands.
Are you telling me YouTube Music, Spotify doesn't have classical music? I don't understand the difference.
No, it does.
But this is a dedicated lossless audio, especially if you have
it's lossless audio. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was just about to mention
lossless audio, and then you have your AirPod headphones.
And it's the spatial audio
spatial audio, dude. That's gonna sound. Yeah. I would be.
How much are they charging for that?
Shit.
That's an interesting thing. I was gonna see right now because I have it up on screen here.
When is YouTube Music going to introduce hi-fi music? We got like Samsung pushing these hi-fi earbuds, but I don't have anything that can play it. I don't have Spotify. I don't use Spotify. I don't use Tidal. So
just to piggyback off of that, right now the app is free, but I don't know if that's going to change.
Damn, I just sold my iPhone. Crap.
Yeah.
Oh well, maybe next time.
I'm gonna buy another one.
Wait, the musical, the classic one will be free, or the regular one will be free?
The app itself is free. I don't know what the service is. It doesn't mention anything about the
monthly fee.
I mean, I'm going to assume it's probably the same as Apple Music. If you pay for Apple Music, I'm pretty sure it might be the same deal, right?
So that's an iTunes. That's an iTunes thing.
I don't know. And it just when you click on the link here, it takes you to the App Store. It's called Apple Music Classical. It's included with your Apple Music subscription, apparently.
So it's a separate
if
app?
you have like Apple Music, you'll get that.
Sam, don't look. I'm stealing it.
iPulse.
iPulse. I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, they're saying here, they've got composer biographies, deep dive guides. I don't know are you going to deep dive there, but 700 over 700 curated playlists. I don't know. I think that's an interesting concept for Apple. It's something different.
I think if you're in that market, I'm not the target market for that because I don't listen to
me
music.
either.
I'm not saying I haven't, but I just don't. So,
I think if they can bring me the best of Beethoven, I'm in, right?
Well, Rodney was asking for the best for 98 Degrees and Backstreet Boys, but they haven't released it yet.
Yeah.
Going to stream it in the background for my OnlyFans.
You're gonna get copyright infringement there, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. That kind of actually to me, it reminds me I think that's Apple kind of going back to their roots a little bit because that was iTunes. iTunes was like the game changer for them when it came to like mobile devices, iPods and all that. Because before that, what was everybody doing? Everybody was ripping stuff off, right? And the music industry was going nuts because everybody was on LimeWire and getting everything for free. So when Apple come out with this service that you could pay and get this stuff. So I don't know. I think that's kind of cool that they're going back to their roots, to be honest with you, that they're focusing a little bit more on music. And you're right. I mean, we've got all this technology and headphones and stuff now. I mean, why would they not? So I think that's it's a good move on their part, for real.
I mean, it costs them any money, and it's not a lose. I mean, it's like they didn't have to really spend a whole lot of money. They just had to basically market it, containerize it, and then just give it out there and say, hey, look, we've decided to develop this whole classical thing of lossless audio. It's all good. You can hook up your spatial audio. You can push spatial audio. They can push the AirPads or headphones or whatever they're called. And then you're good. Like I said, it didn't probably take a lot to stand it up, and it was probably part of what they had already. And they just basically repackage it and make it bring attention to it. I think it's a a good idea.
And if you're charging your phone while listening to it, you're saving the earth too. Yeah. So
it's a worst case scenario, if it goes nowhere, what do you lose?
Clean energy.
Just roll it back into the regular music app, and nobody cares, right? It's a blip on the radar, and you don't lose. So there's no downside to it.
No, you're right. I agree. Yeah. 100%.
Now, one of the things, I was just like I said, I think that's one of Apple's more interesting things they've done, in the past year, as far as reinvesting into, like Roddy said, getting back to their roots, getting back into music. Now, I just wanted to kind of change focus for a second. So I know Roddy wanted to talk about this. Now, speaking of Apple's direct competition, Samsung's come out and has trademarked Galaxy glasses and the Galaxy Ring. Now, I had to ask Roddy about this because Roddy is the proponent of the cock ring. I thought it was a cock ring, but it's actually not. It's actually a smart ring. So Roddy, what are you? I know you're a big Samsung fan. So, what are your thoughts about the glasses and the Samsung ring?
That's just
that went sideways.
How can I follow that? Thanks.
I don't know.
I'll talk about the ring first because I know that's what you really want to hear.
Which ring? Be careful.
So they have one of those. I don't wear rings. I'm not married. I don't wear rings. But
right.
It's the health. Track your health, whatever. I've wanted to get one and try it because I love. That's one of the main reasons why I have 3 smartwatches. I don't know why I have 3 smartwatches, but I do. But I love to have that constant tracking all the time, just to see. Yeah. And so I've heard that the ring is even better, and especially for sleep and different things like that you can do so much more. They're so damn expensive. And
the Oura ring,
Oura rings, yeah. I think they're slick.
Yeah.
I would get one.
So I was talking to Darren about this the other day. We were talking about, I really like Google Fit. It's probably my preferred like fitness tracker of the ones that I've used. So I think it would be cool if we get that and it it all works together and everything and you get that. So I think it'd be cool if Samsung came out with one that kind of worked with everything integrated with Google
between
Fit and become part of their ecosystem, because that's a famous word. But as far as the glass goes, I'm glad Delvon's not here. I can go ahead and talk shit about VR, but there's no good VR out there. I've tried all of it, and I've sent it all back because it's also wonky. And so I'm really hoping that Samsung.
I disagree. Where's Delvon at? I need to find him.
I hope that Samsung integrates the VR more with their phones, laptops, and computers. Kind of like the recent Meta Glass thing, where like you could look at the computer and have multiple screens. I would hope that Samsung would do that with their glasses. I think that would be
AR. I don't think it's VR. It's AR, right? Or what do they call it?
They don't call it
or whatever.
AR and VR.
Yeah. That's it. So that would be, to me, that's what I'm hoping that they kind of come out with. They just filed the patent for it, so it's coming. That's been approved and that's out there. And
I wonder why they're doing that.
Yeah, because Apple's going to do the same thing.
And Apple will win that war too. So I don't know why.
Every time,
Yeah.
Well, the rumor that what I'm reading here in a couple of the publications is that, I don't know if you remember, there was a company called North Focals that were
North
doing
Focals. I actually ordered a pair. And then they canceled on me when Google bought them. I was so pissed. So, I bought an iPhone just to scan my eyes for that damn thing.
So what they're believing, what people are saying is that some of the technology from the North Focals might be integrated into this glasses, Samsung glasses, whatever they're called. I hope they call them Galaxy glasses, because I think that's hilarious. But I mean, who knows, right? I can already see the marketing. You can see the Galaxy closer than ever before, right? With that fucking space zoom up on your screen and your eyes.
First-person view. Yeah, there you go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Did you guys have Google Glass? Did you guys ever try Google
I
Glass?
wish I did.
No, but I wanted it.
I had it. I had the original one, and I even had the prescription lenses put in and everything. I really liked it because you could wink your eye to take a picture. And when I had kids, I'd throw them in the air, and they'd be smiling, and you could just wink and take a picture. The biggest thing was privacy. It was too before its time. But that's why I like the Focals, because it was just a notification system. So you wouldn't have to like look at your watch or look at your phone. You could be looking forward and something would just pop up on the screen. And I mean, whether someone saw it or not, they wouldn't know what it is. The problem with Google Glass, it was a big chunk of glass that was right above your eye line, and it stuck out. People looked at me funny. And when I first started in law enforcement, I was wearing that, and my boss thought it was the greatest thing to record everything. But outside of that, you couldn't go to a theater. I actually had to buy a 3D printed cover for the camera because people were so freaked out by it.
Yeah.
Like I walk around, I go, it's covered, don't worry. But I love that thing, and then I sold it. Then I bought it again, and then shortly after that, they kind of fizzled out. So it's for enterprise.
Yeah, I had a chance to use a HoloLens, so.
I like cool too.
I like that better than having glasses, just because
it's huge though. It's big, but
and it has a specific use, right? It's more for But I mean, as far as AR, that thing was slick. Like, I mean, I had Outlook on the wall, and then I could take it, another thing, and open up a web browser and put it on the floor, and then I could move things around and just kind of look at things as I was talking. I mean, for a business or an enterprise application, it was pretty slick. Like, it was nice to put that on, and you don't have to worry about monitors. You could take, if you were traveling for business, it was great because you just put that headset on, and you could be anywhere as long as you're hooked up, and you could you could use the environment. So you still had environmental awareness because you could see people walking around and stuff, but you could still do things, that were workable. I thought it was a pretty neat little concept. I wish it would have taken off. But.
Did any of you ever get a chance to try? I was just going to say, did any of you guys ever get the chance to try the Form swim goggles? So they were like they were for swimming, but they actually had the AI integration into the lens of the goggles. So when you were swimming, it would show you how many laps you've done, your time, stuff like that. Those actually work surprisingly quite well. For something that wasn't, smartphone related necessarily, those were phenomenal.
Strictly for swimming, right? Obviously, nothing else. They didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I wanted notifications, I wouldn't walk around. I would walk around with swim glasses through my normal day.
But no, what I'm getting at is that that was a company that was just focusing on that area, but they did an amazing job with that product. And, I'm sure there are people that love swimming, and maybe they're listening right now, that are going, they're phenomenal. But, I mean, if any one company could pull it off, it's going to be Samsung. And, I know Google's had a crack at it, and a few companies have had a crack at, the smart glasses. But I think with their ability to kind of pump money into R&D, they actually might be onto something there. And I mean, if they'll probably get ahead of Apple getting it out to market too.
Right.
Well, did you guys never Gear VR? I used to love those damn things. You click the phone in, you had one controller.
Yeah, with my Note 5, they gave me the plastic headset.
Yeah,
worked pretty okay.
What was the game? Face Your Fear. Did you guys ever play Face Your Fears?
No, I just remember watching Saturday Night Live, but it had it set up where you could see the audience. So that was kind of cool, where you kind of look around. And that was kind of neat.
Face Your Fears was like the game where you'd be like in a building, looking out a window. All of a sudden, the window would break out, and you'd be looking over the ledge, and then they want snakes and spiders and that kind of stuff. Obviously.
Just go.
Actual reality.
You're not gonna die. I promise.
You never know.
Well, I mean, how many of those videos do you see online of people freaking out when they're playing?
Running into
yeah. There was one, I don't know if you guys caught this one. You can look this one up on YouTube where there was a guy playing, I guess, some kind of horror game AR VR headset. And his wife got his daughter to dress up like one of the characters in the game and then just sit there in the living room until he took the headset off. And the poor guy, screams at the top of his lungs and falls over the couch. But, like that kind of shit's funny to me. Like, that's
you
what
real
AR VR.
That was Roddy. That's why he hates VR now. He says it's because you can't find a good one, but that was actually him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Roddy was telling me he just uses it for porn. That's what I told him.
Oh, well.
I mean,
or VR. Actually, I don't want to know.
I mean,
he had the body suit so we could feel things.
We're always thinking that all these applications are supposed to be for on the up and up.
Always ulterior motive.
VR. Yeah, okay. Sure. Whatever works for you, man.
I think I don't know personally, but I'm sure there's a whole channel dedicated to AR/VR porn out there somewhere. Yeah. I mean, I personally don't know, but I mean, I don't.
You would never know. You would never look that up, right?
No, I mean, you can.
What you doing now?
Not today.
If you look up Q&A Tech on Twitter, you might be able to get some answers there. He's the expert there.
I don't know who that guy is, but if I find out who he is.
When I die, make sure you take my computer and my phone and delete the browsing history. And
then for sure.
Or just use incognito mode. Come on now. We all know.
Browsing history, you better burn my whole fucking computer from the laptop up. Set that shit on fire. Okay, so let's talk Huawei for a second. We were talking a little bit about this last week with at Mobile World Conference. That just happened in the past couple of weeks here. So they were nailed for some really shady shit. And I don't know, I'll just give you the kind of basic rundown.
Is it real? Is it real?
Well, allegedly they had hid some tracking devices in these badges / name tags that they were giving out to the media people that were coming to see them. They've come out and said, no, it was only used to track who was coming in and out of their booth. But this story is kind of developing. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are saying that it was using RFID and Bluetooth technology to collect real-time location information, residence information.
For what reason?
Well, this is a good question. So, I mean, I know Huawei's been, shit on left, right, and center when it comes to, especially in the States. And, I've worked with Huawei a little bit about, on some of their product reviews and stuff like that. In fact, the laptop I have that I use for everyday work is a Huawei laptop. But what do you think their real motive was? And I'm just curious to see what you guys feel about that. So do you think this is legit, or do you think it's bullshit?
Well, I posed a question on Twitter. Is Huawei really? I know they're owned by the state. That's the whole issue, and there's technically could be spying or have the ability to spy if they wanted to. The question is, are they really doing this, or is it just a precautionary thing? And that's why we've kind of started banning some of their things. Now, all these other countries are doing the same thing. My question, the other thing is, are we just bashing a good company to stifle competition? I mean, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, is that something we're doing? Is Huawei a good company? We're just stifling them? Or is it true that they could have the potential to spy on us, and they are? I don't know. I mean, they could spy. I mean, when I had a Huawei, and when this first came up, I had somebody at work saying, "Oh, you got that damn Chinese phone." I'm like, look, they're all made in China, and if they want to spy on me, they're not going to find anything. But that's one person. But you get a group of people together, enough phones sold, you have a different story. I don't know.
Roddy, you mentioned this to me. You wanted to talk about this. What are your thoughts on it, there, bud?
Well, I'm kind of the same way Tuna is like, people complain about this phone spying and this, that, and the other, but then everybody's on TikTok. And it's like we've all heard that TikTok is sharing information. So I'm like either you want it or you don't want it. I mean, just make up your mind, and that's kind of my thing. But I do think that it's weird that this would have been like a tracking device put on somebody's badge. And I'm curious to know. It hasn't fully come out. Like, did people know that this was there? And is this some kind of technology they were testing out, or were they spying on people? Or I'm kind of more curious to know, like, what's the full story here? Like, I want to know how they're going to respond, or
they could have simply been tracking where they're going, what booze they're looking at, so they can try to figure out what the popular thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, maybe it's just research. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's harmless, it's harmless. I mean, should they have said?
Good. Hey, they should have said something. Yes.
Yeah, they should have been like, "Hey, you have this tracking device on you, just so you know." And but yeah, I mean, it would. Look, I've been to big shows like that before, like at the SEMA show, and at the SEMA show, if you download their app and you turn on the tracking and all that kind of stuff on your phone, as you're walking around, you can see like the little people moving, and you can see where stuff is, and you can move around, you can do all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like if it's one of those interactive kind of things that they were trying to do, maybe people didn't know about. I don't know, but I would kind of like to know a little bit more, because to me it's not good if you're like putting a tracking device on people.
Yeah, especially Huawei. They're not looking good already, so why make it worse?
No,
I don't know.
That's my point.
So, the official statement is that Huawei was using the data to enhance service quality.
Oh, good. That sounds legit.
Yeah, that sounds fine. I don't know what that means. I don't know exactly.
The other statement is, we apologize that all of our employees all the Huawei employees at the show were wearing foil hats. So they were okay. So
So the only thing I'm gonna say is, so here's how it goes. When it comes to state governments, right? State agencies, U.S. government, British government, Chinese government, you never really get the whole story. There is really no truth there, right? Yeah. So let's be fair. And also, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You hear Huawei, so automatically your brain is thinking, well, they're up to shady shit because it's CCP and that's the Chinese government and they're always nefarious. Yeah. But the problem is Huawei's kind of earned it. They've had a couple of instances where they've had stuff that really, again, is it bad? I don't know, but boy, the optics look bad, right? And then the problem is, here they are putting a tracker in a device. And here's the thing: if everybody knew it voluntarily, it's not a story. Because then the first person interviewed that had these things said, yeah, I knew they put a tracker on my device, on my badge, and I walked around with it, and I knew full well what was going on. The reason why it's a story is because they didn't know full well what was going on. Yeah. And I'm not saying the Chinese government engages in misinformation, but I don't know. The last 5 years, I mean, when we're talking about, we're not just talking about Chinese. Let's look at it. Let's look at, it's the United States as a government doesn't necessarily own business like that, right? It's not a communist country, so there isn't state-owned business. Yeah. China is a country that has found a way to kind of hybridize capitalism and communism, right? Mm-hmm. Their government is a communist country that has leveraged a free market capitalist system. Right? They watch the Soviets screw it all up and go, we got a better way to handle it.
Well, let me ask you something, Sam. So Huawei is owned by the state, or however you want to word that. But
it's a company that all companies are technically, any company in China is technically owned by the government.
But then you have ZTE who could sell phones under different brands, under like Nubia and stuff like that, who could sell in the United States, and that they get away with it. So is it because Huawei got caught? Because
Huawei, ZTE, no. When it came to telecommunications equipment, ZTE's telecom is
right. I'm talking about phones only. I know that,
Okay, well, I'm saying is, but the reason why is because OnePlus and Honor and fucking Oppo, they don't leverage telecommunications shit in the United States, and Trump was only president for 4 years. You give him 8 years and all those companies are leveraging all sorts of telecom and everything else, he would have banned every single fucking one of them. Right. He just got Huawei because that was the heart of the Chinese system.
Yes.
Right?
They were getting
Huawei
big
was
fast.
their most
They were getting
successful.
big.
Still,
Yes.
they're huge. And then and that's so if you're gonna go after the big guy, you might as well kill the biggest, knock him down with the biggest hammer you got. And then also now their name's Mud. So it's a way for governments to leverage it. So what I'm saying is no government really is going to come out with a statement like enhanced user experience. Yeah, whatever, fine. You know, it's whatever. And then are you ever going to get the full truth about coronavirus or Wuhan lab or lab leaks or wet markets? No, you're never going to really know because there's so much disinformation. There's so many conjectures and everybody's got their own opinions. Nobody's ever really going to know what the truth is. So that's what's fine. But again, Huawei can say whatever they want. And I have a Huawei phone. I have a P30. It's in my drawer. I've used it.
Great phone too. Great phone.
But the problem is the software Juan Carlos Bagnell made this comment and on one of his shows. He's like, the phone, I think it might have been in our show, but it was one of his things he was doing in his video. If it's Chinese software, the Chinese government, we all know, leverages suppression techniques and surveillance techniques because it's the state, right? They went in there and told Apple, we're going to turn off AirDrop so that way people couldn't share shit when it was going sideways. And they were like, and Google's like, Google's like, yeah, you ain't turning off shit. They don't use Google. They have already shut Google down. I mean, the Chinese government actively engages in state-sponsored censorship and control of their hardware and software. So why wouldn't you think that they would do something like that? Now, is it always nefarious? No, like Roddy said, it may be this tracking at the show, may be totally legitimate, right? But again, it's one of those things that makes you go, huh? Well, and then they come out with some canned ass statement that the United States government comes out with the same canned ass statement. So, like, did you actually shoot down a UFO? Well, we can neither confirm nor deny the fact. It's like the same fucking bullshit that they all do. It doesn't matter. It's just like you're on the side of Team America, so you're like, that's okay. But if you're China, you want to hack on them because they're a bunch of evil, communist, crazy people, right? It's because it's. Again,
no, you said Team America, World Police. That's
right.
Like
it's
South
Park. It's all of that stuff. It's again. Unfortunately, now Huawei is in that boat now where that name, unfortunately, and that's why do you think Honor exists?
Well, they sold
because it was a way to leverage a Huawei brand, and they could kind of move away from that optic of it. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, if you just take a step back and take all the feeling out of it, like my Chinese are spying on you, and it's like so is the NSA. So what? I mean, it's like
so is Google. So is Facebook.
Every company does.
And right, and every government does. I mean, the NSA bugged Angela Merkel's phone.
Yeah.
And they're a fucking ally. She's like, we bugged your fucking device. And they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't do that we did it on accident. Wrong. Yeah. You did it on total purpose and got caught doing it. That's what it is. It's all, Mossad, I'm sure, does the same shit. I mean, that's what they do, right? It's agencies and governments doing what they do best, which is trying to get information on everybody else's government and everybody else's government citizens. So you're in the same boat. Yeah. I mean, it's the risk you run in the new tech world because it's just, you're trading convenience for security, and we do that every day. And it's
I will just add to that and say, out of all the companies that we've worked with and collaborated with and done product reviews for and so on, the folks at Huawei Canada, they were some of the nicest people to actually communicate with. And I said to one of the we had a group chat here, I've never ever felt like something sinister was happening on any of their hardware or any of their software. I never got that impression, right? Like it seemed like here was a company that was trying to establish itself in a traditionally really difficult market of, laptops and smartphones and tablets. And, they're a company that are not from here. They've got a reputation and mostly in China, being quite popular. Never got an impression that anything was, not toward. And at the end of the day,
they hit it really well then.
They did. Yeah, I mean, those Christmas baskets that I was sending with the bottles of wine and the chocolates, those went really well. But
did you wake up naked somewhere where you weren't supposed to be or something? I mean, they could have probed.
What is going on with naked and cock rings and VR porn? What the fuck is going on around here? Holy shit! Let's calm down.
Everybody. It all comes full circle.
Influence.
It's like, it's just
listen, I didn't know about any of this stuff until I met Roddy, and then Roddy just showed me.
Virgin ears.
Oh, me.
It's a single guy. That's what it is. He's the bad influence.
Yeah.
That's how it is down south. Down
Sounds
south,
like
it's all raw.
Sounds kind of Huawei to me. Ronnie's the bad guy. He's like crazy fucker. Again, like I said, it's I mean, I again, if Huawei did do that and they didn't tell anybody about it and they did it for whatever reason, again, it's just one of those things. Again, it's like here's another thing you got to kind of talk around and send out a press release, and it's another one of those things that only cements people's distrust for your company.
Yep.
And it also gives people another thing to go. It's like no matter what happens in China, they could literally a fucking missile could go right outside of Beijing. Like, oh, that's not a missile. That's just a big long cylindrical thing with electronics and it's got a rocket on it. But it's
I'd hate to be
it's for better user experience.
We're really just doing it so that way you can see it, so that way you know
it's
we
just
have
a
such a
balloon.
thing. But we're not going to do anything with it. I mean, shoot it. Why would we do that, right? It's some of these responses from these governments, even the United States and the UK and European unions, are just like, what planet do you think we're on? Because it ain't fucking Mars, man. I was like, do you think anybody believes half the shit you guys are talking about anymore?
But listen, you want to know? Do you want to know who the most underpaid person is in all of tech? The Huawei PR person. Like, I feel like that, like whoever that is, whoever, if they're listening, if they're out there, you need a fucking raise, because I can't imagine the shit you've had to deal with in the past 5 years, 10 years. Trying to spin the narrative on what's going on and what they're accused of.
Yeah, but do you hear them talk? I don't think Huawei cares. Like, I think they did it first.
So
like, we got our own OS now. We got our own. I mean, I bought a phone when they had the OS, their App Store.
It was called Harmony.
It was terrible
OS.
for me because I'm a Google everything. It didn't work right. But I sideloaded Google. Still didn't work half the time. But they're coming along, and in the Western markets, they're doing.
I had a Mate 30 that had no Google services on it, and I had no problem getting stuff on it. And I actually kind of liked it.
I couldn't get like Android Auto to work and stuff like that. There's some things you can't.
You need the Google framework, services framework.
Right.
But I was able to hack it on there, and even I didn't. I just didn't use it. I don't use Android Auto in my car. I have a 21 Mustang. It's got a simple entertainment system. I don't use Android Auto in it.
He's got a cassette player.
8-track. Fuck you, man.
8-track. That's all.
8-track. There you go.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm all right with that. Hey, I'm good with that.
Hey, I'm old.
I mean,
it would have an 8-track, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
Roddy, do you know what an 8-track is?
No.
I think Roddy's beat you.
I do actually.
Oh, he does.
I actually do.
Oh, okay.
How about a 9-track?
I know Roddy's the music guy of our group here, so he probably knows for sure. If anybody knows, it's Roddy.
Yeah.
I had a car with an 8-track in it one time, and it came with some 8-track cassettes in it. I listened to them.
Nice.
It was fun.
Oh yeah.
It was Conway Twitty. That's what it was.
Conway
Twitty, Johnny Cash. I mean, stuff like that.
Engelbert Humperdinck. Yeah, I'm getting.
No NWA. No NWA or
on 8-track.
No.
Not really.
I don't think so.
On 8-track.
But no Snoop on 8-track. No Snoop.
No.
I don't think so.
It was right next to his car phone. The one with the cord. It was this large.
Yeah, the back phone. Yeah, I had a bag phone.
Yeah, the back. Yeah.
I had both. Yeah. I had both. I started with a bag phone, and then I upgraded and got the one that was like mounted in there that you could like pick it up, talk on it.
A mount stand. Yeah, those are dope.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Yeah. I was watching the movie Twins the other day with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And in that movie, I laughed out loud, and I don't know if it's just been a while since I've seen someone, pull out a fucking phone in a car that's connected by a cord, a curly cord. But when I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito communicating to each other, in the different cars that we're driving, man, how far we've come. Like, seriously, we've come a long way.
And
we have to appreciate that.
It really isn't that long ago. I mean, it was, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, 20 years,
I always tell people, there's about 10,000 years of recorded human history.
Yeah.
We've been able to fly a plane in the last 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
We went from in 1903, there were people born in the late 1800s who were alive to see the first plane at Kitty Hawk go 280 feet. And they were alive when Apollo 11 landed on the moon. That was within one lifetime. We went from flying a Kitty Hawk, right? Before that, people were fighting hand-to-hand combat until the 1700s.
Yeah.
So, it's like you have to understand in the last 150 years, we have gone from basically musket warfare to drones.
Musket warfare.
Right.
I'm serious, man. Like the
New
little
mobile
birds, it was
warfare.
like muskets. I mean, just anything. I mean, cars. Like, it's like you have to understand. Like, if you look at a picture of 1900 versus, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a picture look at Europe. Look at London in 985, and look at London in 880. Like 1,000 years later, it doesn't look a whole lot different in some places. It's mesmerizing to know what we've done in the last 150 years in human history. It's crazy.
I personally think that the jump from pages to cell phones, that was a big jump in technology. You had the beepers. You get a little text message. Oh, I loved them. I loved mine. I had one too. They were amazing. And then that kind of pivoted into like the whole smartphone in the car and like the dumb phone in the car and so on and so forth. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like I saw the movie. I hadn't seen. Maybe it's just been a while since I'd seen a movie where two characters are talking to each other on phones this large. Strapped to their ear and whatever. But I just found that was hilarious, to think how far we've come in.
I was born in 1975. I remember being a teenager in an age when the internet wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. There was no such thing as the internet. I mean, go back and just go take a phone, take one of these, S22, and take it and hand it to somebody in 1985 during the Cold War.
Right.
Oh my God. They would be completely blown out of their minds.
It's burn you at the stake.
Exactly.
You're a witch.
And before the internet, I don't know if you remember this, Sam. I used to log into billboards.
BBS,
number.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the day when you had to know there was no such thing as DNS entries, right? You couldn't type in Google. You had to know the IP address.
Yes.
That was it. There was no DNS resolution back then. You had if you want to go to a billboard, you had to go to 10, 32, 45, 185.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And you had to go there. And that was the days of Netscape. Oh, somebody showed me the other day. I forgot all about it. Who remembers pencil fights? Do you remember pencil fights in school?
Yeah.
Where you take your pencil? Yeah.
I was like, see who can break it first.
Right. Who could break it? You tap like that. You'd be doing that. Dude, I
never did that.
Oh my God. Dude, flick football. Dude.
Yeah.
Three coins where you'd knock them across and then you had to do little goals at the end and you try to oh dude, I was just the 80s were so great, man. It was so awesome. I know you look back on it and watch, you want to really know how far we come? Watch a game show from the 80s. Just watch a game show. I don't care if it's Price is Right, watch Wheel of Fortune, whatever, and they're like, it's a brand new car. And he's like, what's, and they finally watch past, keep watching.
$6,500.
$3,850. It's a new Datsun 300Z.
Yeah.
It's they're like, holy shit, wow. And it's like $3,900. Like, holy fuck. $3,900 goddamn dollars. Right? And you're just like, and I told my daughter when she complains about this age, nobody can afford shit because 23-year-olds are supposed to buy their first house at 23. Who the fuck did that in the 80s? Nobody did, right? I remember when I started my first job in 1990, minimum wage was $3.15 an hour.
Wow.
And you were making the money and you made it rain.
Dude, and then in September it went to $3.85 and I thought I hit the fucking jackpot. I was like, holy shit. $4 an hour.
Back then that was good money, inflation and all that stuff.
Yeah. But it really wasn't. And here's the thing, people don't remember in the 70s the interest rates were 14 fucking %.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Kids today think this is a new thing. This interest rates are crazy, and it's I can't afford shit. I'm like,
4%.
Dude, people in the 70s were in line for 6 hours to get one tank of fucking gas, dude.
Yeah.
When gas was when every car got 18 miles a gallon or less, you were lucky. Some cars had single digits.
Yeah.
I mean, quit acting like this is some new shit. You guys have to go back and do this thing called read 25 years ago in history. We've had these economic spikes where interest rates were at 13, 12, 14%. Do you think we're going to keep a zero federal funds rate for the next 30 years? Are you people high? No. It's not happening, man. It's
well, we've come a long way. We have time machines now. At least I have a time machine right here, but you can't see it in the jail cell. But
is that how you get out of jail?
Yeah, I go right back in time. I visit every, Back to the Future, floating hoverboards, all that stuff. It's all real.
And it's just everything pretty much stays the same. It's just cyclical, right? Things happen, like I said, and I don't know about you, but I don't know many 21-year-olds that were able to afford much housing when they were kids. I mean, things weren't. Yeah. I mean, you made $33.50 an hour, but things weren't. A car wasn't. When I bought my first car, it was $12,000. So this $3,800 fucking car price back in the 70s, I never saw that. right? So,
well, it's kind of funny you speak about Back to the Future because I'm always every time I think of that movie, I think of that line from Doc Brown where Marty tells him, he asks him, "Who's the president now?" And he says, "Ronald Reagan." And he says, "Ronald Reagan, the actor."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And that's
Yep.
like that's just like an indicator of like kind of like the whole premise of like where we're heading. With all this. The future tech, at some point in the near future, let's say 20, 25, 30 years from now, someone's going to be like, you were holding a fucking phone to your ear? Like, what the fuck was wrong with you? Like, you're using your hands? And I mean, that's another
Back to the Future reference,
right?
I have kids, and my daughter's like, what did you guys do for fun? I go, we had video games. We had TVs. They just weren't like flat screens. They were tube. Well, what did you do for fun? Well, we went outside and played kickball, football, basketball. We played Nintendo.
Pike.
You had color TV? Yeah, we had color TV. I'm not born in 1920. Jesus, it wasn't that long ago.
And funny segue for Ronald Reagan. Do yourself a favor. YouTube Ronald Reagan comedy or Ronald Reagan jokes. He told some of the funniest fucking jokes and funniest stories of any president I've ever heard in my life. And granted, you had the whole Iran-Contra thing, and there's probably some shady shit going on there, and the air traffic controllers were a big fan,
right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, but he's funny. He tells these great stories that crack me up. It's pretty funny. But again, it's whatever. It's always the same thing.
Well, just to end on like this note, and I'll just kind of reference another Back to the Future reference here. I don't know if you remember when in the second movie that he goes into the future, and there's the two kids playing the video game, and Marty shows them how to play the shoot 'em up video game there, and the kids look at him and say, "You mean you have to use your hands?" And, like that's kind of where we're at. Like that's where tech is today, right? It's going to, at some point, they're going to look back and go, man, there was these fucking guys, some TNT podcast. They're talking about fucking phones and tablets and,
a lot of things. We talked about a lot of things that Sam was not happy about.
Right. And they're wearing clothes made of cloth. Whatever happened? Like, no, they'll have clothes that won't have, it'll be like some fabric that changes color and it's see-through.
No, it'll be all AI. It'll be all AI.
Yeah, you can spill stuff on it. It just goes
away. Laying in a tube.
Same thing with Back to the Future. Like the jacket. Remember, you got the jacket that gets all wet.
Pushes the button. Yeah,
it's all hooked up in the
auto drive.
Back to the Future. Back to the Future. He also said you're not thinking fourth dimensionally. So what's the fourth dimension?
There you go.
We're almost there.
Right.
The metaverse.
Speaking of that,
we're going to be in the metaverse.
The jacket with auto drive. I was like, yeah, we need to get that.
Yeah, for sure.
Reebok pump. Sneakers?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I had some of those.
I did.
Hoverboard.
You had those ones?
I didn't have a hoverboard. My mom couldn't afford it. I had a pogo ball. That's what I got when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah, pogo stick. I remember.
No ball.
It was
ball.
Think of something that looks like
Jupiter.
Saturn. Right, it's a ball.
Yeah.
It has,
okay.
Yeah, you can Google it. It's called Pogo Ball. It's a thing. And also,
that makes you look old now.
Yeah, Google Sizzle Lean, right? The fake bacon thing. Remember it? Oh, yeah.
A Pogo Ball. I have no idea what you're talking about. No,
dude, I could bring all that shit back.
I'm 15, so I don't know.
It's so great. I watched those on. I was like, oh, so good, so good.
Well, listen, we are going to wrap up there today, and I think the best way to put it, I think Tuna, you said it, we should all be leaving thinking fourth dimensionally from here on out for the rest of the week. And listen, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today on TNT. And, we're here live every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we would love for you to come back and join us. And as Roddy mentioned earlier on in the chat, please make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. You can catch all these lovely people that you see up on screen right now on Twitter, YouTube, OnlyFans. That's just Roddy. But, the rest of us, we're out there. But thank you very much to Tuna, Sam, Roddy. We appreciate you guys being out here today. Thanks, everybody that's been posting comments up in the chat. And we will catch you all on the next one. Thanks very much, guys. Peace.
Yeah.